现代人消费资讯量爆炸，选择越来越多，在竞争激烈的家电市场，什么样的品牌能够屹立不摇，持续受到消费者青睐？家用电器作为耐久材，又该如何培养高忠诚度的客群呢？今天这集节目，我们要带你一探德国家电品牌Miele的经营秘辛，邀请到Miele负责行销和销售的执行董事Dr. Axel Kniehl分享他对市场的观察。一起来看百年家电品牌如何自我定位，跟随时代转型，又是怎么因应不同文化和生活习惯，进军海外。
We're testing all of our appliances for 20 years of lifetime.
For 20 years.
That is at least twice as long as anyone else in the industry. And that's probably longer than anyone in any other industry as well. Yeah? And this commitment to quality, to longevity, and to perfection is truly differentiating from everyone else. If you think about consumer interaction, we strive for delivering customer delight and not just customer satisfaction. It's a very important differentiator. When you are satisfied, and most companies are measuring customer satisfaction, classical measurement. Yeah? You basically ask consumers, are you satisfied? And they will say, yes, I'm very satisfied or satisfied. That's it. Yeah? When you're delighted or mesmerized, what will be different? That moment of truth, of delight, you will pick up the phone and you will call your best friend or your parents and you say, guess what just happened to me? Yeah, I just had a Miele delivery and the guy was explaining to me, etc., etc. You'll be so excited that you will talk about it.
I'm curious about, because we say household appliances, they are durable goods. So what role does customer loyalty play in Miele's overall strategy? And also, how do you cultivate this loyalty?
Mm-hmm. So that is exactly where it comes together.
Yeah.
If you create delightful experiences and if people are so overwhelmingly happy with the product, but not just with the product, but with the way the brand is interacting with you, they will never think of buying anything else. So we also now in our latest campaign that we're just launching right now, we say once a Miele, always a Miele. Once you have decided once, the first time, to own a Miele appliance, you will always go again for the Miele appliance. So, and that's where these, you know, when you think also about the changing environment, changing consumer habits, demands, the typical throwaway generation we have today, right? You rechange your iPhone every 3 years, you don't worry about it. We believe it's different with appliances. You don't want to throw away your appliance every 5 years. It's a hassle. You know, if you have a family with 3 children and your washing machine breaks down, yeah, and then you have to wait days until it's going to work again, who's going to take care of that, right? So that's where we truly believe that the longevity of the product, the performance of the product, and then the loyalty and the repurchase is going to be so very much interlinked.
How does Miele's approach to product design to ensure that it meets high standards of your quality and durability while also aligning with customers' expectations?
You know, we have, of course, right? So you have on the one hand side sort of your own aspiration when it comes to quality, longevity, or even innovation that no consumer is directly asking for. And on the other side, you have changing consumer demands, but also maybe different needs in different parts of the world. It's not everywhere the same. And we need to bring these things together. How do we do that? We have an incredible engineering force globally working on the next generation. But we also have a very strong insight generation where we generate insights on what consumers are actually demanding for. And you don't do that by asking, you do that by observing.
Observing.
Yeah, because when you ask someone, they cannot tell you. I'll give you a very good example. People are very concerned about washing their clothes because the washing process can damage the fabric over time. And especially if you have something very precious, you don't want it to get damaged. And this is something that you can observe also how upset consumers are when they suddenly take out something out of the washing machine and there's a hole or something like this. So we're now, for example, launching a new washing machine that is the first one in the world that doesn't have any ribs. So if you think about the drum, you know there's typically these ribs. Everybody thought were necessary to do the washing cycle. We have taken them out now. Because of course the ribs are one reason for potentially damaging the fabrics over time. Now we've taken them out. We're using AI for the whole wash cycle because we believe that it will truly make a difference in how gentle we take care of your clothing.
Definitely the most incredible washing machine in the world.
It is absolutely, and it's absolutely unique. It's going to come in 2025, and we're very sure that people will be really excited about it.
Yeah, and that also brings us to the next question is, I know Miele has emphasized its localization efforts in various overseas markets, and I would like to focus on Asian markets. Specifically, how do you adapt your product and marketing strategies to align with local living habits and also customers' preferences?
Yeah. So on the product side, there's probably two sides that we constantly have to weigh. When somebody decides to invest into Miele, it's not just you don't buy, just you invest. And you're going to be part of the Miele family. If someone is taking that decision, it's also because they believe and they trust in what is German engineering and the quality of Miele and the promise that is behind it. So we cannot make too many adaptations to that part, or we don't want to. Then there's the other thing is that yes, but the way you are cooking, the way you're washing your dishes, or let's say the dishes that you are using are different. So for example, in Europe, very few people are using rice bowls.
Rice bowls, yeah.
And yes, some people are sometimes using chopsticks, but very, very rarely. Yeah. But when you have a dishwasher in Asia, you want the dishwasher to be made, or the drawers to be made in a way that your kind of cutlery, your kind of plates and pots, etc., is fitting. So we make adaptations to that. One example, right? Another one is yes, steam cooking is everywhere relevant, but of course here steam cooking is especially relevant because that's what you do. So what we try to understand and what we try to adapt our products to is that in steam cooking, we know how to do dim sum. We help you with automated programs to take you through and how to do that, specific fish that you make, etc., etc. So all the programs that we use in our appliances are adjusted to the specific needs of Asian consumers.
And I'm curious about the process that the team, the designing team, how do they updo their observation, and how do they come up with those?
It's a mix of things. So one thing that we can do today that wasn't possible 10 years ago is social listening. Yeah, so people talk about their experiences, they talk about how they use appliances and what they're missing in all kinds of platforms. Yeah? So we're using those to actively listen in, to understand what are we not seeing, what do we not know, and adjust. One thing. The second thing is in consumer observations. So we have our design team, we have our product teams traveling the world and literally sitting in consumers' homes and observing how they are cooking or washing or cleaning, etc., to get insights, because you learn a lot by observing. Yeah. And the third thing is that every year we ask in various ways about 25,000 to 30,000 consumers around the world about their needs and requirements. So you bring all of this together. Lastly, you need to have a little bit of foresight, because these are all things of today, but we need to understand how are people going to live in 10 years from now. Because if we want the products to be the right ones in 10 years, we need to start developing in 2-3 years for those products. So we have future studies where we work with institutes that are sort of thinking about the life of people in 2035. And we try to then come to conclusions about that.
The next two questions, I would like to talk about transformation. And the first one is, I would like to talk a little bit about ESG and sustainability initiatives. What sustainability initiatives is Miele currently pursuing, and how do these shape your approach to product designs and development?
First of all, I would like to really point out that to us, sustainability is nothing new. If you think back to 1899, ever since sustainability has been part of our DNA. And it's a very simple thing. What's the best to the environment is to produce less, right? So if you build everything to last for 20 years, you will have less impact on the environment than if you build every 10 years. Yeah, so that's so in our DNA that we didn't have to start making big adaptations. So right now, of course, we're following all the typical topics that everyone needs to follow and should follow. Yeah, whether it's carbon neutrality, whether it's circularity, and whether it's looking at that through the entire process value chain of your organization. Plus, we should never forget the side of the employees. It's also about the social responsibility, not just about the products itself. I think, let me point out two things that are sort of important also because they really require changing our mindset. One is circularity. Yeah, and we are running, as we speak, we're running all kinds of direct tests where we're actually doing that, taking back appliances, refurbishing the appliances and putting them back into the market, or taking all the components of the appliances and then reusing them, either directly or through spare parts, offering sort of reused spare parts. And that is, you know, that is sort of really important on the one hand side, but not so easy on the other, because a washing machine you cannot just take in your pocket and drop it somewhere. It's a bigger process to do. Yeah, so that's one big initiative I would like to point out. The other one is that when you think about carbon neutrality or carbon usage, most companies are focusing on scope 1 and scope 2. If you think about appliances, about 83% of the carbon emission is happening during the usage phase. So in your home, not in our production or not in our deliveries. Yeah. Now, how do we help you, or how do we help you take scope 3 down? Is on the one hand side by making the most energy efficient appliances. Tick. That's Miele. Yeah. The second thing is through helping you understand how in the usage phase you can actually start reducing your energy usage, which is helping your pocket, yeah, but it is also helping the environment. And we have created a consumption dashboard where you can actually see what programs you're using, how much energy you're using, how much that is costing you. But you can, if you want to, have that compared to all the other users. And then it becomes a little bit of a challenge, right? So how do we do this? And why is this important? Because today most consumers think I'm buying an energy efficient A-class appliance, so now I'm a very, very low energy using consumer. But then in the usage phase, they don't use those programs. They use the programs that are very fast, you know, very with a high temperature, etc. And just to give you a number, for example, in washing machines, the usage of the energy program is globally less than 10%. Yeah? But if we help you to double that in your usage, that already takes away the entire carbon emission of the production of the product. So it's small things that we need to change that drive a big change. So we're trying to work in that consumer interaction and to help our consumers, which then helps the environment.
The next transformation I would like to talk about is digital transformation. What are the core elements of Miele's digital transformation strategy, especially related to like integration of AI or new technologies?
So the topic of the year and the next decade.
Yeah.
So on the one hand side, when people think about digital transformation, everybody has something specific in mind, and we need to understand that it's happening everywhere in the organization, and it must happen everywhere in the organization. To give you an example, it's not just digital products, or smart products. It's not just a digital workplace, and digitalization of the workplace and helping people to use digital tools like AI in their daily work. But of course, it's also things like digital manufacturing, etc. So it has to happen everywhere, which means it's an obligation to the entire organization and the entire leadership team to drive that transformation throughout the organization. At the same time, honestly, today, I think we cannot even imagine how much is still going to happen when we think about AI and robotics, both sides. We are just at the very beginning of a 10-year cycle, and it's just fascinating. I mean, we're using AI all over the value chain already today, and yet every time it's just a peak and just a glimpse. In all of this, we should never forget that when you're at home and you want to cook a nice fish, or you want to steam a nice fish, the key thing that is important to you is that you get the best fish out of your oven. Okay? So all of these technologies, all of the digital capabilities should always only be used in order to make your life at home easier and your results better. It's not the digital just because it's digital. Yeah.
I know when it comes to transformation of sustainability and digital transformation, the topic is really big. And so next question, I would like to focus on challenges. Throughout its long history, Miele has undergone significant transformation. And so what are some of the most significant challenges that you think you have faced during this journey?
I'm only 10 years with the company. We have 125. But if you look from a bigger scheme, we had, over the decades, we have transformed the organization in most radical ways. So as a starting point, we started making cream separators, butter making machines, and then even the first washing machines. But it was all more for agricultural use. It was for big farmers, etc., etc. We were making pig feeding stations and milking machines for cows and stuff like this. So we've basically said completely goodbye to the agricultural part of the business. There was a time in the Miele history where we built cars. We made bicycles. We made motorcycles. Beautiful, by the way. If you are a lover of historic products, they're really beautiful. So we had to really change our product portfolio and refocus on different areas, until we are where we are today. Now, we are, for example, building up a very big business in the professional business-to-business on the medical side. Most people don't know, but we're the #3 worldwide in disinfection and sterilization in big hospitals and dental practices, etc., etc., right? So transformation, if you want to survive for 125 years, is an ongoing topic. You have to be ready to take bold decisions sometimes, in order to then transform the organization into the next decade or the next decades.
And before we wrap up, Axel, is there anything else you would like to share with us about Miele's future? And personally, I'm curious about what makes you feel most excited about the future.
So what I'm most excited about the future really right now is this incredible change that we are sitting in right now. And I'm not talking about some of the painful things around the world that are happening that are really concerning, but I'm really thinking about the technology change that we're just seeing happening in front of our eyes. And we probably in 30 years from now, we're going to look back and say this was a change in era. And being part of that, having an opportunity to shape and to be sort of driving a company into that future is absolutely exciting me every day. The other thing is is, there's nothing more rewarding than to work for a company that is putting the consumer so much at the center of everything we do. And as much as I'm sort of disappointed when it doesn't work, or when we make a mistake somewhere, which we also do, as much as I'm excited every time I get a positive feedback, and luckily we get a lot of those, and that drives me every single morning to get up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kniehl, and for taking time to speak with me today. And I truly appreciate all your insights. And before we end our program, I would like to invite you to share a friendly farewell to our audience by saying 下次见.
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 I was going to say 恭喜发财.
Oh, that's great. That's better. Okay.
All the very best for the Year of the Snake. Thank you very much for being so loyal to Miele. For those of you who know us, and for those of you who don't, it's a big invitation to please join the Miele journey. Thank you. 谢谢.